Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a SPORE Druid Fighter Build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. Now these classes actually are pretty synergetic together as we're going to be able to deal extra necrotic damage. We get a bit of extra spell casting, some zombies to help take aggro from our teammates, and it's honestly pretty powerful. So you can either start with the fighter or the druid, but I think it's actually best to start with the fighter. They have a little bit of an easier start than the druid does, although the druid does have its wild shape forms and shillelagh for some extra damage early in the game. But we're going to go with the fighter here, as I find that this one just has an easier start. Now you can go with the defense, because at minimum we're going to be wearing light armor, but you can also go with heavy armor. There's two options there, so I think defense is a great choice. But if you want to use a two-handed weapon like the Sword of Chaos here, you could also go with the great weapon fighting. Or if you really want to use two-handed fighting, you go that route as well. But I'm going to go with the defense just because armor class is going to be really important for us to keep our symbiotic entity form. As for our ability scores, we're actually going to dump intelligence, and we're going to go the Eldritch Knight route. So that's going to give us shield as a spell, which is really good. And having high dexterity is actually kind of where we want to have our stats allocated to. So wisdom's going to be for spell casting. You can go with something like somewhere around here: 14 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, and 14 wisdom. Although you can also dump strength and use strength potions if you'd like to. And you can even use the strength club from early in the Act 1 if you want to go that route. Even going with like a higher constitution's good, or a higher wisdom. You could go something like this alternatively and put the rest of the points into charisma there. So that could work too if you want to dump strength and intelligence. So we can go this route as well. Because this is a multi-attribute dependent build. Although you don't have to go with the Eldritch Knight, you can take the Battlemaster Fighter, but I just think that the Eldritch Knight, since it gives us shield, gives us more survivability is what we want. We also get Action Surge, level 2, that's incredible. The fighter gives us a lot of nice benefits. At level 3, we're going to be taking the Eldritch Knight. Again, you could take a Battlemaster if you want for Riposte, but we already have a use for our reaction, so getting Riposte is not a high priority when we can get a spell like Shield, which will increase our armor class by 5 as a reaction. So this can help us with survivability because we want to hold our symbiotic entity form as long as possible, and this is going to allow us to keep that. So we'll go with that there for our first level spell. Magic Missile is nice because it doesn't require a attack roll. It's guaranteed damage. Thunderwave can be good too for pushback, but we can get that from the druid itself. So we'll go with our Magic Missile. And for cantrips, I think Bone Chill just makes sense, but we get this from the Spore Druid too. So something like Shocking Grasp, if you need to get away from an enemy, stops them from using reactions, can be good. If you're the face of the party, take Friends. If even Minor Illusion and Mage Hand are good choices too. So I'll take Shocking Grasp and Minor Illusion, but you could also go Ray of Frost, Mage Hand, if you want even Firebolt. But for our expanded spell, I'm a big fan of Find Familiar because you can give yourself a Raven summon, which is super useful for just tanking extra hits for your team. Long Strider's another nice one. Fog Cloud for survivability you could go with, but I'm going to go with the Find Familiar because that Raven will take one extra hit away from your teammates, and that's pretty good. Just being able to survive an extra hit, always useful. And it can also blind targets, giving them disadvantage on attack rolls. Now for our next leveled spell, you could go Chromatic Orb, just to choose a different damage type if you want. Witch Bolt's okay, but you don't want, not something we really want here. And Mage Hand, or Burning Hands, Chromatic Orb, or Thunderwave. I'm just going to go Chromatic Orb. And for our feat, there's a couple ways we can go about doing this. We could go all in on the Tavern Brawler and go a throwing route if you want to for this build, because that's one way the Eldritch Knight can operate, is they got their bound weapon. But I think an ability score improvement or alert for a +5 to initiative works best. Taking up our dexterity gives us a higher armor class, as well as it gives us more initiative, so more survivability. Now at level 5, we get our extra attack at the fighter, and this is great because this is our big power spike, so we're stronger now. But a nice thing is, we don't actually have to go up to level 6 here. We do get an extra feat at level 6, but I'll show you near the end, there is a choice that we can go with. We should add in the Druid at this point, because it's actually quite strong to go to level 7 Druid. And we get Shillelagh, or Shillelagh, or Shillelagh, depending on how you want to pronounce. There's multiple pronunciations. I get a comment every time on this, so I just want to give all 3 pronunciations. Thorn Whip is nice too, because you can pull creatures towards you. That's always something useful. And for our prepared spells, I like to have Create Water personally, especially if you got a Storm Sorcerer. Any lightning damage or cold damage will be doubled by this, so this is a great one. Healing Word's great too, because it's a bonus action heal. If you have a teammate that went down, pick them up with this. Don't run up to them. So I'll go Create Water. And then Fog Cloud's nice too. You can go Ice Knife if you're silenced, but you can also just attack. And Thunder Wave for the pushback. So that's our spells there at level 1 Druid. The Druid gets a lot of great spells. So for our subclass, this is where we're going to add in the Circle of Spores, and as I mentioned, we get ourselves Bone Chill, which stops the target from healing. We also get our Symbiotic Entity form, which will give us temporary health and a little bit of extra survivability. We can also do a Halo of Spores as a reaction to give us a little bit extra damage. What's nice about this is if a target's close to being knocked out, we can use this to, you know, quicken that without using an action or a bonus action. So that's really nice. And then we also got our wild shape forms if we need them. So good reliability there. And as for our selected spell, Ice Knife or Long Strider, although Entangle can be okay too. So we'll go with that there. And then at next level, level 3, we get to prepare another spell. So we get ourselves level 2 spells this time. Spike Growth is my favorite for crowd control, but Hold Person is also really nice because we can hold person and go in and attack them, and attacks within 3 meters are always critical hits. So very useful. We can take Spike Growth at our next level, at level 4, and we'll get another feat 2 of this level. We also get the Deferothe wild shape form, so another nice addition. Resistance or guidance, take whichever you prefer here. You should always have someone with guidance, but if not, we can take Produce Flame because you can throw it. And then we'll take ourselves Spike Growth. Flame Blade's nice, but we can actually make a permanent Flame Blade, so that's one option. Moonbeam's great. If you have Sanctuary cast on yourself, you can still use Moonbeam and move it around. We're going to go with another feat here. Now, you could potentially go with an increase to our Wisdom that's going to increase overall spell casting, but I think it's nice to be kind of between two different phases here. Like, again, Tavern Brawler is an option if you want to throw your weapon, but I actually think going higher in our Dexterity works well, because more initiative, more armor class, and we can use Dexterity weapons a little bit better. At level 5 Druid, we get ourselves an extra attack and wild shape, and we also get ourselves the Animate Dead form, or Animate Dead spell, which gets boosted at next level when we can do our fungal zombies. We also get the Gaseous form, which is nice to have, but Call Lightning, and you can take off one of these previous spells if you don't use them as frequently. Like, we will get someone that'll do Spike Growth for us at next level, so we could take that off, put on Plant Growth, or I guess we could even just take Plant Growth at next level. Yeah, we'll take it off, and we'll go Plant Growth. Plant Growth is actually really good. So, and then at our level 6 Druid, we get ourselves the Owlbear form, which is nice. If you need extra temporary health, you can go Owlbear form, and then run away, or I guess jump at people to run away. We also get the Fungal Infestation, so we get 4 Fungal Infestation charges used to pick up and animate, basically animate dead, but we get a zombie that turns into, like, it's a fungal zombie that can make more of them when they attack enemies, so really useful for that. And then we get ourselves another spell, which will add back our Spike Growth. And then at final level, we get a couple more really nice spells here. So Druid level 7, we get ourselves level 4 spell slot, and the best usage for this is going with the Conjure Woodland Being. This is an incredible spell because it's a summon with a summon, and it can do Spike Growth for us. So we can take off Spike Growth, take Conjure Minor Elemental, and then we can also get something like a Wall of Fire, Ice Storm if we really want to use that for extra damage. But we'll go with this here because that's actually a pretty solid lineup, and I'll show you how to play this build because it's actually very strong, surprisingly. We do get 2 level 4 spell slots, but you can also give ourselves the, like, any of the staves that give ourselves extra spells, like the spell casting one, we can actually use this to cast our summons, and you can hand it around to everyone in your party to summon in their summons. So free cast, really nice, and then you can literally just swap that back off. So I had the Sword of Chaos on there, which will heal us, and it does additional necrotic damage on hit, which is nice. We only have a 25 armor class, so you can also go with something else and use a shield. I'll show you what that looks like with a shield. 22 armor class, so that's pretty good. And then we've our shield spell, which will take that up to 27. So Valor Alluve is a good choice. Even Defender Flail will give us a higher armor class, 23. So you could go that route. Alternatively, there's lots of different options for weapons here that you can use. So I like Valor Alluve itself is a pretty good weapon. Even the Staff of Cherished Necromancy is pretty good, but I'd rather go with a full Necromancy build versus using that. So something like the Sword of Chaos works pretty well for this. And then alternatively, we're not going to use the Wave Mother's Robe. The 2 best items for this is the Armor of the Spore Keeper, which this gives us the ability to do, whenever we're in our symbiotic form, we can do haste spores. So I'll summon in Ice Methods are the best because with the Ice Methods, you can use Create Water and they'll deal double damage. And our Dryad will also give us the immunity to poison. It has the Fallen Lover as well, so it can summon its summon in. So we got multiple summons, which is really nice. then they can also all be buffed together. So if you have someone with aid, upcast that. Now we got our symbiotic entity form, which we'll pop into now, which is going to give us 28 temporary health, which is pretty good. And then with the armor of the Spore Keeper, this gives us, well, it gives us a 13 armor class, gains +1 bonus to spell save DC, and when dealing necrotic damage, we deal additional 1. And we also get the ability to do Tin Mask spores, which will befuddle creatures, confusing them, Bitterbang spores, but the best one is our haste spores, and this is a bonus action. So you can see here we can haste a large group, and whenever we have the haste spores, I love the animations for the Spore Druid, we got 2 actions there. So this is really great because the haste spores will allow us to cast 2 spells per turn or attack 4 times. Outside of honor mode, it'll allow us to attack 3 times per turn. And then we can give it to all of our team here because everyone can just run in, get the action, attack, run back into it, attack. So this is probably the best in slot for a Spore Druid just because of the haste spores itself are so useful. Although if you want to go for more of like a defense focused build, we can go with the armor of agility there because that'll give us 26 armor class. And then again, if we went with like a shield, we could get our armor class even up further. So I'll show you what that would look like. I like the Sword of Chaos, but it's not really one that you need to take. We can go with different things, like even like the Sacred Star if you want to have a little extra radiant damage on there, and it'll put our armor class up to 29, which is crazy for a Spore Druid. So 29 armor class with the ability to further increase that by using Shield, the spell, which is just fantastic. I went with the Headband of Intelligence so we can cast our Eldritch Knight spells without missing them. Helldusk Gloves will give us a +1 spell attack roll and spell save DC, which will further increase that, but also give us 1 to 6 fire damage, which further increases our overall damage, giving us a pretty intense attack here. So we also have Wild Shape to fall back on, but this is basically you want to use it for your symbiotic entity forms. And we also got lots of crowd control with plant growth, hold person. We can heal, we can use Fog Cloud. So typically we'd want to get up close and use our attacks as much as possible. So we're going to deal extra necrotic damage every time we attack. I also like this because it'll give them -1 to their attack rolls. Although if you don't want the Helldusk Gloves, you can also go with like this. If you use this, the Sacred Star weapon, you can use the Gloves of the Belligerent Skies here, which will further increase the amount of crowd control that we do because we're going to apply reverberation on the target. So there's a few different options there, but the Helldusk Gloves give us the highest damage output as well as boosting our spell attacks. So that can be a really good choice too. We also have our bound weapon, so we can throw our weapon and not lose it. So if you want to even go with something like Nirolna, this works on this build too. So lots of different options for available weapons here. Nirolna also gives light too, so that's another thing with it. And then we can, I'm not going to throw we'll throw this weapon here. And it hits in a huge area of effect, which is nice. So that's one thing about it. We took out Shadowheart there. And we have our Nirolna back. We can go ahead and throw it again. Be mindful if you're using a throwing build that sometimes it will slip out of your hand. So you have to be watching where it is because you don't want to lose that. It's a really good weapon. You can't use this on allies, so that's unfortunate. And then we can just go ahead and throw it again. It does pretty good damage as you throw it, so that's the nice thing about that. It also applies a lot of damage. And it also counts as bleeding because it counts as an unarmed weapon attack. So if we have the Helldusk Gloves on, we do extra necrotic damage and inflict bleeding. So there's a few ways that this build is actually quite strong. I really like the Nirolna just because of the extra damage that you get. I hope it doesn't hit them, and it did. He got saved on it, but we're able to bleed Minsk or Halson there with this. So the nice thing is we have our summons here for extra damage, and I'm also taking them out here. So I guess I'll show you what this looks like if we attack with it, because we have our multiple attacks and we have our action surge as well to further increase the damage that we deal with this. So I'll just start combat. He ran away, of course he did. But the thing is, we can just run over here and then go and show it off on Arnel Howlleaf the year. So I guess we use our action there, unfortunately, somehow. But we get ourselves another action, so we can go ahead with this again. Attack and attack. I'm not in my symbiotic entity form, so that kind of sucks. I forgot about that. It went off for some reason. But yeah, you want to be in your symbiotic entity form as much as possible. And then you have your summons here to be able to do your dirty work for you. So that's another thing. He's going to... There we go. Took out Halson with that. But yeah, the woodland being is awesome because you got this really great crowd control. You can use spike growth and hit in a huge area. Of course, Mizora uses counterspell. You got strength and Shillelagh. So yeah, this is a very powerful Spore Druid Fighter Build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.